In this video you will learn how to read a Free Trade Agreement Services Schedule using the CPTPP member schedules as an example. To begin, I have located the CPTPP text on New Zealand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade's website. CPTPP adopts a negative list approach to services liberalisation. This means that all services sectors are fully liberalised unless specified otherwise. The non-conforming measures, otherwise known as reservations, are split into two annexes. Annex 1 lists reservations associated with existing non-conforming measures, so restrictions on market access or national treatment that a country wants to keep in place. Annex 2 lists reservations for sectors where the country wants to retain the right to introduce non-conforming measures in the future. CPTPP's annexes are accompanied by an explanatory note listing the CPTPP services obligations covered by the reservations. A. Article 9.4 National Treatment or Article 10.3 National Treatment. B. Article 9.5 Most Favoured Nation Treatment or Article 10.4 Most Favoured Nation Treatment. C. Article 9.10 Performance Requirements. D. Article 9.11 Senior Management and Board of Directors. E. Article 10.5 Market Access. Or F. Article 10.6 Local Presence. Using Singapore's Annex 1 reservations as an example, we can see that each schedule entry sets out the following elements. First, we look at the sector, which refers to the sector for which the entry is made. In this case, the sector is business services. Then we look at the subsector, where referenced, which refers to the specific subsector for which the entry is made. In this case, the subsector is leasing or rental services concerning private cars, goods transport vehicles, and other land transport equipment without operator. We then look at the industry classification, where referenced, which refers to the activity covered by the non-conforming measure according to the provisional CPC code as used in the provisional central product classification. This is a general classification framework created by the UN covering all goods and services. In this case, the CPC codes covered are 83101, 83102 and 83105. We then look at the obligations concerned, which specifies the obligations referred to in the list on the previous page, paragraph 1, that do not apply to the listed measures. In this case, national treatment and market access. Level of government indicates which level of government is maintaining the listed measures. In this case, it is the central government. Measures identifies the laws, regulations or other measures for which the entry is made. In this case, the Road Traffic Act. Description, as indicated in the introductory note for each party schedule, either sets out the non-conforming measures or provides a general, non-binding description of the measures for which the entry is made. In this case, cross-border trade and services, the cross-border rental of private cars, goods, transport vehicles and other land transport equipment without operator by Singaporean residents with the intent to use the vehicles in Singapore is prohibited. We will now look at another example, still looking at the Singapore Annex. The following reservations would be relevant to an Australian law firm looking to establish an office in Singapore. The firm should look at both Annex 1, existing measures, and Annex 2, possible future measures. Singapore's Annex 1, existing non-conforming measures, contains a reservation that applies to all sectors requiring the appointment of a local manager. Annex 1 does not have any further reservations specific to legal services. Annex 2 lists the areas Singapore retains the right to introduce non-conforming measures in the future. It contains a number of reservations relevant to an Australian law firm looking to set up an office in Singapore. For example, Singapore reserves the right to adopt or maintain any measure with respect to the supply of a service by the presence of a natural person. Mode 4. This means that Singapore can keep in place any existing restrictions on the temporary entry of foreign people wishing to sell services in person, and can also introduce new ones in future. This adds an element of uncertainty for any company wanting to temporarily bring foreign staff or contractors into Singapore to work from their Singaporean office. There is also a specific Annex 2 reservation for legal services. Singapore retains the right to adopt or maintain any measure affecting the supply of legal services in the practice of Singapore law. This means that the rules governing whether foreign firms are able to advise on Singapore law remain at the discretion of the Singaporean authorities and may be changed at any time. An existing measure, the Legal Profession Act Cap 161, is listed, which will contain further information.